Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to Creating the Conversation podcast on Me and You Education platform on YouTube and Facebook. Guys, we are blessed, we are honored, and it's been a crazy day and a crazy week as well. Hope all you guys have been well, you've been all right, you've been fine, and you've been chilling, doing your thing under all of the restrictions and limitations that we have. I know we're trying to make the best out of a really bad situation. Guys, I'm here, your host Imran Muhammad here, and of course my man Ivan Humble. How are you, man? Are you doing? Are you okay? How's life at your ends, mate?
Oh. Yeah, life's good. Can't complain. I suppose it's like at the end of the tunnel now, with lockdown restrictions hopefully lifting. So I guess we've got a bit more upbeat about everything now. So yeah, we'll see how things go. Busy week, but a weekend to chill.
Brilliant. Ivan, today we are blessed, man. I gotta say this is huge for us. I know we've had a bit of a conversation with the gentleman as well just earlier today, and this is huge for us because to have someone of his caliber on this particular platform to talk and discuss about different aspects and different elements, of course some elements of his own life, his professional life, as well as his personal life as well, but at the same time keeping things real. And I'm going to say this again, keeping things real. So for me, it's important, it's essential that we keep this gentleman in conversation and discussion. So what I'm going to throw now at you is, who is this gentleman who's coming up? I'm going to say blunt, this is from the depth of our heart. We at Me and You Education are proud to have Mr. Tez Ilyas on this particular platform podcast. He is one of the most celebrated stars in British comedy. His usage of culture and religion in his humor in a way which makes one reflect as well as laugh out loud. I'm going to be blunt. It makes you do that. It's crazy, bro. Has helped British societies to become more aware of their ethnic minorities and see them as part of the British narrative. Guys, our conversation today with Tez Ilyas, of course, is going to be some aspects of his early life and what how's life been in Blackburn as a young South Asian British lad in a city which has been under the spotlight for many different reasons, how he progressed to become one of the Britain's well-known faces on the comedy scene. And this is none other than, I'm going to say it, guys, big man himself, our celebrity guest, Tez Ilyas, aka Tehzeeb, or his mum's favorite name, Ter or Tahir. Welcome, Tez. How are you, man?
Alhamdulillah, what an amazing introduction. Assalamu alaikum, Imran. Good evening, Ivan. Shalom, everyone listening in that. Big up.
God bless you, bro. Do you know what I mean? I know we've been waiting for this time and this moment, bro. Wallahi, and Allah give you strength. You know, some of the work that you're doing, you've done some amazing things, amazing work and etc. We're gonna go through a lot of that, discuss certain aspects and elements of all of that as well, and touch on many aspects of your life and how it impacts general society as well. So before I do that, my man, how are you? How's your health? How's the family?
Alhamdulillah, thank you for asking. Lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Always happy to talk to people. You know what? Obviously we were having a pre-chat before this, innit? Then I went out, and on my way back upstairs, when I grabbed my glass of water, my mum threw a samosa in my hand. So when you're about to introduce me, I was like, oh, quickly eat it, because I didn't want to eat on camera, innit? So luckily, I managed to like swallow just the last bit just before you brought me. And I was like, yes, good evening, hello. Yeah, thank you. But not everyone's good, man.
True professional, I say. True professional, guys.
And honestly, it's been good, man. Obviously, been in lockdown the last 12 months and that, and I've been locked down in Blackburn with my mum. And to anyone listening, I cannot recommend being in lockdown with an Asian mum enough.
Tell me, bro.
They do everything, bro.
I actually, Ted, I could say the same. I live with my mum as well because of her illness. It's been a nightmare for me the last 12 months.
So you've had the opposite experience of me, but I've honestly, she does everything, bro. Obviously, don't get me wrong. When I go in the bathroom, yeah, and I close the door, that's on me. I'm big boy in there. That's on me to sort out. But outside of that, bro, she does all the cooking, all the cleaning, and bro, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's just the way it is. I remember friends previously said to me before, they were like, bro, how come you're so undomesticated? How come you're so useless around the house? And these were white friends of mine, like back in London when I lived in a house share in London. They were like, how come you were so useless around the house? I said, look, I explained to them, I said, look, the thing is, growing up, right, my mum did everything for me. I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying that's just what happened. And when she wouldn't do it, she'd ask my sister to do it. And again, I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's what happened. What I'm saying is, when you're a 12-year-old boy and you're not forced to do chores, you wouldn't volunteer to do them, innit?
Obviously.
So I explained to my friends outside that basically what happened is I, Tez Ilyas, am a victim of the patriarchy.
I love it.
That's basically what happened to me there. So it's too late now.
No, see, I have the same experience as you. You know what it is I had to learn, you know, when I went away, when I went abroad to study and etc. Then I started to learn, right?
Yeah, I didn't bother.
You know, you didn't do that. You went to takeaways and chilled out. You know what I'm saying? But mine was different, bro. Because the thing was, when I went into the Arab world, and they don't have, marjan, they don't have spices and stuff like that at the same level as we do. So we had to learn. Or I must have burnt, I don't know how many andis, right? So many andis I burnt, yeah. But at the end of the day, what I used to do was scrape it from the bottom and say, "This is flavor, bro. This is flavor."
Me, wherever I am, I just accept that I'm just gonna have to eat what's here now. I remember one summer I was in New York for a whole summer. I was doing Camp America, and there was no halal food around, so I just ate like vegetarian. Now and again, they gave like fish fingers, and that was like, honestly, it's like when you get like Nando's roast chicken. You know what I mean? Getting one fish finger, bro. That's what it felt like back then that summer.
Wow.
Because the entire summer I was just basically vegetarian. But now and again they throw a fish finger at me, and I'm like, "Allah the shukr for this fish finger and that."
Got some protein in me.
In it, exactly.
You know what I mean? Now, your friend Sindhu V, she depicted in one of the sketches that you done of your mum. Is that close to you? How your mum really is?
You know what? It's a mix. It's a mixture of my mum and a couple of different aunties, and maybe my older sister as well. So it's a mix of different people, because that's what you do in when you're writing a character. You can't base them on one person, because then that person would watch you going, "Huh?
Yeah.
Like, where's my money then?" And but you take traits from different people and you mishmash them and you stir it up a bit, and then this character comes out. But Sindhu did an amazing job. Also, it's probably, I think Sindhu's mum's a lot like that as well. So I think Sindhu was able to use her own experiences from her own family and stuff and put that in it as well.
And that was really, really cool, because there's so many aspects and elements of that. It's so real. I could relate to that in many, many ways. And what made it really interesting is that someone like you, who's in the scene, who does the work that you do, you're a professional person, you're a comedian, but the thing is, you are, and I'm going to say this, you're a narrator of reality of people's stories. And I think for me, a comedian, a person who's in this particular genre, you talk and discuss about real people's lives and bring that to the stage and bring that to the screen. And that's what makes it powerful, I think. I know yourself and others do the same. But I want to say something here, and I want to ask you on the back of that is, you do that. You have this very amazing ability to observe people and read people, right? In the field that you're in the world that you're in, has that helped you to progress? Have you felt, I can read that person? Or has it not really worked?
I think it came backwards, I think the more I've started doing comedy, the more I've gone deeper and deeper into this world, the better I've become observing the world. Like, my jokes now are very, very different to what they first were when I first came on the scene. But from performing, the number one thing you have to have in performing is self-awareness. And what is self-awareness if you're not observing yourself?
Yes.
And so once you learn to observe yourself and your place in the world and how people react to you, you then learn to do that in other people as well. And you observe how people react to those people and how they react to situations. And so doing comedy and learning about myself and learning what works for me, what jokes work for me, what jokes don't work for me, what stage presence works for me, what stage persona works for me, that made me learn more about reading other people and reading the world as a whole. So actually comedy has helped me more than I was going into it, I think.
And thank you for that. And I think that's very, very, observational of you, that the genre itself has developed this aspect in you. And I see, I read into a lot of, because for me, it's important to know why people go into certain areas of work or certain genres or certain abilities that they have. What I've seen in you, and I've watched a lot of stuff on you, mate. I think I'm gonna say it, even though my boss said you better not say this, yeah. But I'm gonna say this. I think watching all the stuff that you've done and read some of the stuff that you've done, I'm a Tesbian, day.
Yes, yes. You know what? I'm like Ash in Pokemon. I just want to go around the world collecting all the Tesbians. That's what I want to do. So I've got another one here.
Oh, mashallah, mashallah. You know what I'm saying?
Mashallah. Nazar na lage.
I mean, tuk.
Nazar na lage. No, bro, I appreciate that. And you know what? Merchandise is coming soon, so watch out for that.
Inshallah. And you know what I'm saying is I'm gonna say this because sometimes when you do this, when you really get to the bottom of who a person is, you start admiring what they're doing, why they're doing it, because you have this very tongue-in-cheek way of saying things. All right, you have this ability to express certain aspects and elements, say it how it is, what's coming out, and then bam, you give it. But what you give and what you present is the real thing. That's why I'm asking you this question. Have you seen that you have become much more observant, much more reflective? And of course, like you said, it's the other way around. And I think that ability is really powerful because it makes me, someone like me, Joe Blog, on the street, doing his thing, cha-cha, bawa, la, saying, yeah, I believe that. I see that. I know that. Do you know what I mean? And I've got to commend you for that. But it must become very stressful as well because you are talking about things which are relevant, which are real, which are contemporary. Sometimes them things are difficult to say in your genre. How do you feel about that?
You're right, it does. And the last thing I want to do is get pigeonholed. So obviously people do know me as someone who speaks up for things that I care about, that are close to my heart, that affect my family, my community, the people in my town, the wider ummah and stuff. And I do like doing that. And I think I've got a particular skill that allows me to take those things and put it, like you said, in a tongue-in-cheek way that resonate with people. But at the same time, bro, the places that we come from, we're also very, very silly people. And so the last thing I want to do is get pigeonholed and constantly people think, oh yeah, we want to talk about something serious, get Tez on. Tez will be able to do it. I enjoy doing that, but also, bro, like Ivan was saying, I like dressing up with a dinosaur and scaring my niece on her birthday. Do you know what I mean? We're multifaceted, bro. We got these many different traits to our personality. And there's lots of shows on TV, bro, that I'd love to do, like Taskmaster, that I think they look at me and think, oh, maybe he's not suited to that because he's more of a serious kind of comedian. I'm like, no, bro, like, come and spend a week with us in Blackburn, innit? You'll soon realize it's different. Like some of the stories in my book, bro, when we're breaking windows and running away from police and stuff, bro, we got different sides to our personalities as well.
No, you do. And what I've seen when I was watching you, what came to me was, I don't know if anyone has ever said this to you. What came to me was Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
And that was really interesting for me because I looked into Charlie Chaplin on the basis of not just his silent movies that he's done, of course, his own political views and how he held himself, what he did and how he did it was phenomenal. And a lot of the way you present yourself, hold yourself, for me, as an observer, as a viewer, it's very like Charlie Chaplin way of doing it. Do you think that's weird for someone like me to say that?
That's a big compliment. So
I know it is.
That's huge, bro. Because obviously Charlie Chaplin, the man, comedically in terms of comedy wise, like he's a giant, isn't he? So to be even mentioned in the same sentence as him is wow. Even if you said you're not like Charlie Chaplin, I'd be like, but I'm still in the same sentence.
Yes,
whoa. But to be like, for you to be like you, I remind him of that guy, bro. I remind you of him, but bro, that's sick, bro. Like obviously, for me, when people say to me, "How would you describe your comedy?" I found an alliteration, bro. Beautiful. Silly, smart, and subversive.
Exactly.
And so whenever I write something, I say to myself, it has to take two of those three things. It has to be either silly or smart, silly or subversive, or smart and subversive. It has to be two of those three things. If I can hit all three, wicked. But for me, that's just my strength in it, because people look for me for a certain type of comedy. So I want to be silly, smart, subversive. Not always political, but even when I'm doing something silly, is a little bit smart.
Like this then. Can you see that?
I can't see that, bro. Look at this handsome guy.
Every coach is it.
I haven't seen him in it for 18 months, bro. Not since before the lockdown. Where's he been?
So what you just explained, I see that, and I see that in your dress code. That's what you are. The silliness, the smartness, right, and that element comes through, and you've done that really well. But I'm praising you too much, man. I don't like that.
Again,
you know, there's a saying. Don't
put nazar on me, you know.
No, I'm telling you now. There's a saying amongst the Arabs. Yeah, the one who praises you in your face, he stabs you in your back, bro. I'm saying. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not gonna stab you in the back. Hopefully not. I mean, Allah.
You don't seem the type. You don't seem the type.
Inshallah. Allah keep it protected, bro. Inshallah.
Ameen.
My man, you know, it's an honor to have you, bro. But I'm gonna throw some points of reflection, because the area that you're in, a lot of people say Muslim in comedy. How does that work? We thought Muslims were damn serious stuff people, man. Exactly. La. Come on, go on, Ivan. Hit me, man. Say it as it is.
Islamification of the UK comedy scene.
Yeah,
Islamification is everywhere, bro.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir. You know, the fact that in the Tez O'Clock show, bro, we were able to say takbir on TV, bro. That was it, bro. We were able to get these little things in. There you go. There's me, Gus Khan, Sindhu V on the Tez O'Clock show doing these mad sketches, these mad points of view and stuff, bro. And the fact that we were able to do that, it was amazing. And you know, I say to people like Islamification of this and that. I'm like, Islam is part of Britain. It just is. Like, the thing about being British is there's no one way of being British. We now know, because of research that has been done, that the first people who came to Britain were black. And so how can anyone from black all the way to white and everyone in between, everyone belongs here, because part of being British is going through these evolutionary periods. The Vikings came and conquered and gave this country a bone structure. You know what I mean? So we've been through so much evolutionary changes in this country, bro. 50 years ago, the government of our country was going to Kenya and putting people in cages. And we don't talk about it in our school. And the way we talk about atrocities committed by other parts of the world, the way we teach it in our country is almost like we've never ever done that. And we're observing other people doing it and we're going, oh my God, wasn't that really, really bad? But we've got to be honest with ourselves. And so whenever someone says, can you be Muslim and British? It's like, that doesn't make any sense, because those are two different things. It's like saying, can you be 6'4" and British? Those are two different things. They have no correlation to each other. You can be the worst criminal. You can be Jack the Ripper, the worst criminal, or one of the worst criminals to ever exist from this country. You can be him, and he's as British as I am, as Ivan is, as you are. Or you can be an absolute saint, the biggest peer, the peer of peers, and you can also be British. Bro, the two things don't have any correlation, because one is your nationality. Either you were born there or you were naturalized in a certain place. That has nothing to do with your personality, your outlook on life, your belief system. They're just two different things. So when someone says to me, oh, what do you think about being British and Muslim? I'm like, they're two different things, bro. They're chalk and cheese.
They are. And in fact, the point that you make is a very interesting one in conversation, because, see, in our area of work, me and you education, so we do a lot of stuff around identity and belonging. And the questions around, am I British? Am I English? Am I Muslim? Am I Pakistani? Am I Bengali? Am I Indian? Am I this? Am I that? In fact, the truth of the matter is, you are everything at one time.
You're everything.
That's what you are. And I usually, you know, within some of the work that we do, what I do is that I have the Pakistani flag. So I put the Pakistani flag on me, right? In fact, you know what? One sec, bro.
Oh, here we go. He is one he prepared earlier, like Blue Peter.
A live demonstration.
Ivan, if you came out with the St. George's flag now, that'd be too perfect.
I'm bringing it, bro, as it is. You see that?
Yeah, I see it.
I
want Ivan to bring the St. George's flag out now.
It's coming, bro. It's coming. Don't worry about it. Look at this. I do this.
I'll go one better.
He's gonna do one better. Okay, look, this flag, yeah. So what I do is when I'm doing the session, etc., I do this. I do that, and it's live. We're in front of kids. We're in front of adults and etc. We talk about this aspect of identity. So I go, look, I'm Pakistani. I'm Pakistani because of my heritage. You know what I'm saying? My forefathers are from that place, bro. And I'm not ready to, compromise that and forget about that and detach that from myself. I do that. Then go on, Ivan, do it. Oh my!
I didn't know you were an English Desi lad. Ivan Khan in the house.
Well, I didn't know that until I watched that video and discovered for 5 years I was misguided. I was really an English Desi lad.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's all thanks to you, bro.
And here's me and Irfan, British National Pakistanis. BNP.
And look at that.
It's like you passed it to him.
I am, yeah. Look at that. You know what I've done? Then what we do is, let me share with you. What I do then is, I take this and I do that. And some of them, I look at their face, they go, hey, why do you do that for? But then I go, look, this is my nationality. And the truth of the matter is, I'm an Englishman through and throughout. Sometimes it's difficult to say that, even the bad bits of being British, yeah. So I give an example. I studied in the Arab world, my bro, yeah. And I realized that I was British more than Pakistani when I went there.
Bro, I say this as well. You know, when I realized how British I am, when I was on Hajj.
Exactly.
And people weren't queuing. That's when I realized I was British, bro.
People weren't queuing.
Because I was vexed, bro. I was like, there's a queue here. And they didn't care, bro. The rest of the world didn't have a concept of queuing in it. That's when I knew I was British.
Exactly. So there's elements and aspects and nuances within us. All right. We said, we are the children of the empire. And that is very true. And we talk about this a lot, Tez. We discuss this. We go, look, one of the key things which is a safeguarding measure against, being radicalized or being groomed in that type of activity is to know who you are. And you said this in the start, my man, to know yourself, right? And when you know yourself, guess what? There's a saying, isn't it? It goes, Man arafa nafsahu qad arafa rabbahu. The one who knows himself knows his Lord. From our tradition. And that's powerful stuff. Now, if that's reality, and that's the reality of who we are, then we need to get to know ourselves. Every aspect of that, all the complexities included. And Ivan, my man, I want to bring you in here because with your identity, of course, we have something which is a bit difficult. But what I've realized about you is you've not forgotten that. Why haven't you done that?
It's my roots. It's part of who I was. It's made me who I am today. You don't forget about the bits just because you're good now. Do you know what I mean? They're part of what made me me. Do you know what I mean? If I didn't go through that 5 years of hate or whatever you call it, I wouldn't be here today sitting there doing this kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And that's personally why I've kept my English Defence League tattoo, because I don't want to cover that up who I was. It's part of me. It's part of my identity. I can look at that now and see how far I've come. But to get rid of that, it would be just like taking a part of me. I mean,
it's like painting over something, isn't it? I'm pretending it wasn't there.
Yeah, but it was there. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to hide who I am. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because that's what makes me me now, because I've been through that and I've learned from that.
Yeah, and it's interesting what you were saying as well. I agree with you, Ivan, and it's interesting what you were saying as well, Irfan, about getting to know ourselves and the entire complexity that comes with that. Because I think one of the things, and I just touched on it earlier as well, I think, honestly, I've thought about this a lot, and I think one of the things that could drastically reduce the risk of not 0%, because, that you need interventions from above to get to 0%, but I think one thing that would drastically reduce the risk of young kids getting radicalized, both by the Islamic terrorist groomers as well as like the far right groomers as well, is if we taught in our British schools a more honest history of Britain's place in the world. I think it would go a long way to help disempower both of those extremes. For example, if I'm an 18, 19-year-old kid now, I'm disillusioned. I didn't do that well in school. I was constantly told to shut up by my teachers. I've now dropped out of college. I've got no real purpose in life. I know I'm angry at the world. I am ripe for radicalization. If I'm Muslim, by those types, or if I'm a white working class lad, maybe from those types. And what some of the messages that they might say to me, if I'm a young Muslim lad, they might say to me, "Oh, you live in England. Did you know that your empire, your queen, your government, they did this, this, and this in the Muslim world, in the wider non-Muslim world, places like Africa and other parts of Asia? Did you know that? Did you know that your country had gulags in Kenya in 1950s?" And you'd be like, "Huh? I didn't know that. Why is my country so bad?" But if your teacher had taught you that in school, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, Miss Fisher told me that. It's really bad, isn't it?" The guy's got no power left.
100%.
And similarly, if you're at the risk of being radicalized, if you're at the risk of being radicalized by someone from the far right, and he's going to, "Oh, we're the best country in the world, we're the best, our people are the best," you'd be like, "Hang on, but I learned at school that actually Britain, like, yeah, we did some good things, but actually we did a lot of stuff that was quite problematic, and we went over that, and we hurt a lot of people. So maybe, you know, my problems, they're not part of maybe something bigger necessarily and stuff." I honestly think it would help a lot if the curriculum was more honest,
much more inclusive, much more honest, much more truthful, much more to the narrative that is taught to the people who have been occupied. You know what you've just touched on, bro? This is the reality of our situation that we need to get to. Because the thing is, one of the biggest problems that we've had, and this is something that we do as an organization, me and you education, all the time. You go to different schools, colleges, universities, and we argue this point. We say if colonialism was taught, if imperialism was taught, 90% of the issues that we have will be dealt with. Especially all of these young men and women going and joining this extremist organization in Syria or Iraq and etc. We're not, like you said, it won't eradicate everything, but it'll do a lot towards, somehow countering them views and ideas. And as you know, and this is something that you touch on a lot in all of your sketches, and many of your sketches as well that you've done, especially I know concerning the Tez O'Clock show, there's a lot of conversation around who you are. Like you spoke one on values. You spoke about British values, right? Which I thought was really, really interesting. And the way you put it was, if you really want to be British, or what true British value is, you go to a country. Go on, you hit me with it. I don't want to say
it. So it's like people always say, "Oh, British values, British values, British values." And I'm like, all right, actually, the truth be told, if I was actually portraying proper British values, then that means going to another country, not learning the language, sticking to my own religion, sticking to my own customs, my clothes, my own people, and actually making no effort to integrate whatsoever. Because that's what the empire did. And even now, if you look at, expats, they call them, they don't call them immigrants, they call them expats. Expats in Spain, Singapore, Dubai. The way they live their lives is even more extreme than you could say about what some people might deem problematic, the way British Asians live their lives in this country. They're more extreme than we are. But yet that is a British value. Going to another country and sticking to your own, way more British than as anyone else then, innit?
That's right. And I think if that is discussed and said in a way, look, this is something that we shouldn't be doing. That's what education is about. It's not about, just stripping away everything and saying, "Oh, this is how ugly we are," and that's it. No. Once you've done that, then, like, for example, look, Britain coming out of Europe, it's not a good thing. It's going to be blunt. It's not a good thing. Britain being around on that table is important, because suddenly you got populism, nationalism rife in Europe. And having Britain there makes a massive difference. Because being an empire, being a structure or a system, right, in the world which conquered and which ruled over many religions, many ethnicities around the world, if nothing else, Britain has learned how to deal with them to a certain extent. Like it or dislike it, that is a fact-based statement. Now, Britain coming out, that hasn't helped, bro. Look what's happening. Look how in France, look how in Greece, look how in Spain and these places. It's gone crazy. And then we've got Muslims there and ethnic minorities that are getting it hard, bro. You know what I'm saying? Now, I want to say something to you, and I want to join that with what Ivan touched on about being a working class gentleman from Lowestoft and his ends. And there's something that you mentioned it in your Tezified stand-up comedy special 2020, bro, That was wicked.
Testify.
That was wicked. And let me testify and let me say, and I love this. You go, hub. So I mean, love, bro, love. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be. And you said something which was really interesting, and you made a link. You got in this country when media discusses working class, what they mean is white working class. Look, I'm gonna chop this up here and there, so I'm not gonna do justice to that. Can you remember that?
Say again.
When you say in this country, when media discusses working class, what they mean is white working class, and ethnic minorities who are brought up in this country are also working class.
Yeah. So obviously, yeah. So when the media mentions working class, they kind of exclude us lot who also grew up working class. Because I was working class as Ivan grew up. So, you know, proportionally as well, Asian and black people, there's more of us, not in numbers, but proportionally, we're like in terms of percentage of our population, we're more working class. But obviously, in pure numbers, obviously, there's more white people who are working class in pure numbers. And I say
we only make 14% as ethnic minorities in this country.
Yeah. But we have a high proportion of like working class people just because of, you know, how we came here and stuff, you know, 56 years ago, whenever it was. And I'm saying that the only difference between, you know, and I say, you know, the working class actually have more things in common than with each other than they do with their counterparts in the other classes. And I say the only difference between white working class and Asian working class is that one of us loves chicken tikka masala and the other is Asian. That's the only difference.
That's the only difference. That's like with the pint of lager as well. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That has to be brought down, bro.
Have it. Remember that Peter Kay advert? 2 Lambooners, please.
Have it. you know one more thing. Being a comedian, you get away with murder, bro. You know what I'm saying? You get away with a lot, man. And one of the things that I come across here, which is really amazing, is that when people say Muslims and comedy don't go together, or satire in Islam doesn't exist, I'm like, 1 minute. Have you read the history of the Muslims? Do you know anything about Mullah Nasir? Do you know anything about, Hazrat Nu'ayman, all right, who was the companion of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, all right? Who was the joker in the pack, bro?
Yeah, the joker companion.
Yeah,
he's my inspiration, bro.
Yeah, man. What do you know about him, Chair, bro?
I don't know an awful. I've been told about him. You know, when people are like, so someone mentioned him to me because I was talking to them about, you know, how you get those DMs and stuff. People going, "Oh, comedy's haram, brother. What are you doing?" Blah blah blah. And he shared me the story of this imam, and I can't remember it all because my memory is like a sieve. It's like I retain information as soon as I read it, and then it just goes, unfortunately. And yeah, he was telling me about this companion, this Sahaba who was just an absolute joke, and like, and the Prophet loved him. And
his name was Nu'man al-Ansari. Let me share this with you. Is it Nu'man al-Ansari, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, Allah be pleased with him. And he was a prankster. He's known to be a prankster, yeah? Now, but guess who he is? He is a Ghazi. He's fought in the battles of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He had a high ranking. He was someone who was honored. You know, he had a very great status and position amongst, the Sahaba, Ridwanullah alayhim, Allah be pleased with all of them. And what you find about him is that he had a vice. His vice was he was an alcoholic. Yeah. Bottle in it. Now, that was his vice. That was his weakness. And what you find is that he was within there is a capital punishment. On the back of that capital punishment at that particular time, he would get whipped. It was I think 80 whips that he would get. Now, the thing about him was, I'm going to use the word, you know what I mean? They wouldn't learn from that. All right? Allah make it easy, inshallah. So what happens is, he gets the punishment first time. Then after a short while, he gets the punishment again. All right? The third time when this happens, bro, Hazrat Umar Farooq, you know, the of course, second Khalifa, well known, or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was watching this and he goes, La'natullah alayk, may the wrath of God be upon you. It's narrated, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked back at Umar, right? And he said, La tal'anuhu, do not curse him. Innahu yuhibbullahi wa rasulih. Indeed, he loves Allah and his Prophet. My bro, You know, when I read that first time, it shook me, man. I was like, 1 minute.
It's very powerful.
How it is? How quickly we judge people, yeah? How
Mm.
quickly we strip them down, yeah? How we see someone on the street, yeah? Might be hand in hand with the girl, someone with the first thing you think, we don't look at the 1 minute. Maybe I need to have good opinion. Look what the Prophet said. And this is really, you know, this really I work in a particular area, bro. And when I see, and I'm dealing with people who are in criminality and work like that, when I say stuff like this to them, they're like, really? Really? And for me, that's what Islam is. That's what my religion is. That's what that it's not about, you know, condemning people and judging people, bang, 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 bang. But it's more about what? Understanding people. Right? And that's who Imran al-Ansari, may Allah be pleased with him, was. And a genuine joker in the pack. Someone who, you know, would laugh, someone who would do different pranks. He would, you know, there's a account of him that he went to the Sahabi Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam who was blind, and he took his stick from him, right? And as he took his stick away from him, he was like, oi, who took my stick? Who took my stick? No, as a Nu'man did. May Allah be pleased with him. And he takes it and he goes, come here, I'll tell you who's done it. So he takes him to Hazrat Usman Ghani. And he takes it to him and he goes, he did it. And what he does, he takes the stick and he starts hitting him. How dare you take my stick from me? It's a prank. It's a prank. You know what I mean? So,
That's
you know,
hilarious.
It is hilarious. But the thing is, this is real. We forget that. That's the foundation of our deen. And the Prophet himself as well had humor. But it's literally about him. He would always speak about things which were truthful. You know what I'm saying? That's how he would do that. So go for it.
I think we have a habit, I think, as human beings, and it's certainly true in my community, and I'm sure it's true of all communities. But certainly that I've observed that we just, you know, we love judging people, bro. We just love, and I'm saying me, I'm saying we as a collective, we just love judging each other. And I might judge you for something different, you might judge me for something different. We all have like different things that we judge different people for. And I'm saying, like, why are we judging people because they sin differently to we do? Because we all sin, we're all sinners.
Yeah.
You sin differently to me, I sin differently to you. People who are watching this will sin differently to each other. Why are we judging each other for our different sins? Because we all know ultimately we ask for forgiveness and inshallah Allah grants it to us. And then we're all equal. So let's just be more patient with each other. If you're gonna, and one thing I've noticed on social media is people are very, very quick to publicly try and chastise people. And me, because I'm a comedian, bro, I treat it as a heckle. So when someone publicly says something, a comment on my post, suddenly I feel like I'm a performer. I have to grab the mic and be like, let me show you in it, because that's how I deal with stuff, bro. And I forget like my ability to forget about patience is very quick, bro. Like I sometimes forget to exercise that. So that's something I need to do better. But it's just, I think people need to learn that if you're going to advise someone, do it privately. Because A, you might have the wrong end of the stick.
Yes.
Or B, the person might appreciate it more if you do it privately instead of everybody watching in the comments where everyone can see.
No, even in our tradition, that's important. You know, really, really important to do that. Why? You need to keep the integrity of that individual intact. There's very clear, like even if he's a ruler, you don't just go around stripping the ruler to his bare bone. You give that ruler its position. If they're a king, or if they're a prince, or if they're a emperor, whatever they are, you state that position first. You know, what is it? Your no, you won't say holiness, but your mightiness, so
your highness or whatever.
Your highness or whatever.
Your majesty.
Your majesty, whatever it is, you do all of that. And then you give them that position in place. And then you have to have that position in the court of them people to say something. You can't just be Joe Blogs and say whatever. And I think within the whole world of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to insult, right? We think we can say whatever we want. And within the genre that you're in the area that you're in, that's really common. That's very, very normal, And I think some people take that very, very literally. What are your views on that? Because in a way, if you think about it, your bread and butter is that.
Yeah. I always have this thing in terms of like saying what you want on stage. I always say, if you're going to speak about a particular group of people, if you're going to mention them, whether it's about a religious group, an ethnic group, or however you want to divide people, whatever you want to say about them, if you're willing to say the thing you want to say in front of a room full of those people, if you think you're brave enough to do that, then say what you like. But if you think, actually, if those people were in the room, then I wouldn't even say this, then don't ever say it.
Don't say it.
That's how I think. That's how I think.
And that's good.
Yeah. That's how I think. I think like, if you have to be honest and say, I wouldn't say these things in front of those people, then why are you saying it at any time?
Agreed.
If you can't say it in front of someone, then you probably shouldn't say it. I know, bro, the jokes that I make about whoever, I say it in front of those people. I say it in a room in front of those people. That's why I feel comfortable about saying those jokes. If those people never came to my show, if white people never came to my shows, then I would feel very uncomfortable talking about them. Because I'm like, if I'm going to talk about white people, I have to be able to say this in front of them. Otherwise, it's deeper than it, bro. I'm talking behind their backs. It doesn't feel right. And similarly, if someone was to say something about Muslims, if someone was to say something about whatever race or whatever, say it in front of those people then. And if you can do that, then all right, fair enough. But I know for a fact that 99.9% of you wouldn't do that.
Yes, that's true. You know that principle that you have, how has it translated into your business? You know, into the people that you engage with, that people that, you know, other famous individuals and etc. How have they, you know, adapted towards that or appreciated that or felt, 1 minute, bro? How have they reacted towards it? Sorry, I think we're having some issue with our sound at the moment.
Yeah, just a bit of background noise and stuff. But
just give me 1 second. I'll go for it.
What was your question? What was your question, bro?
No. What I'm asking, bro, is that like you said, because you have this tendency not you're like this. I'm not gonna say something behind your back. I'll say in your face. Yeah, Now, that's a very good principle. How has that translated in your relationship with the people that you engage with? Because the world you're in, or the worlds that we tend to in, we have 2-3 faces. We don't say how it is because we're concerned about the consequences.
Of course.
Then, so how has that translated? So one thing is your principle, one thing is people's reaction.
Yeah, I think people are allowed to react how they want to react, and this is the thing about I'll bring you up this cartoon thing in Batley. So this teacher, who I think has made a terrible mistake in showing this cartoon to these kids in this class, for several reasons. One, this teacher is aware of how insulting this teacher didn't come from a place of ignorance. This teacher was aware how insulting that image would be to certain students in his class. Now, bear in mind, he's a teacher. He's in front of kids. He has a responsibility to those kids to not insult them. And so just because it doesn't insult you, doesn't mean it doesn't insult other people. So you got to bear that in mind. And he would know that the parents of those children, if they were given an option, would you want your children to see this picture or not see the picture? 100% of them would pick no. The children themselves would pick no. So why are you doing it? Like, what is the need for it? You can describe it. If you want to talk about blasphemy laws or whatever, you can do that in description.
Yes.
You don't have to show the picture. So I fundamentally disagree with him. Of course, you can have a discussion about what is the best way to then protest that and what is the best way then to deal with that and the consequences of that. That's a discussion for people who are more learned than me. But from my own personal perspective, I think I have limits, bro. I don't just say what I want on stage. Of course I have limits. And I bear in mind where I am, who I'm speaking in front of, what I feel comfortable with, also my upbringing. What does that allow me to say and not say? And sometimes I might be on the wrong side of that, but I'm not 100 miles the wrong side of it. Do you know what I mean? I might take a step maybe a bit too far now and again in what I say, but I'm never crossing the line into anything too ridiculous. So I think it was an interesting question about insulting and stuff, because as much as youth might think freedom of speech, I have a right to insult, but then the person you're insulting has a right to feel insulted.
Which is but that's in the law.
Yeah.
Now, one of the key things, look, there's something within how the system works is that it's based upon laws.
Yeah.
Right. So you have something called the 1986 Public Order Act. Yeah. Section 5. Now this was amended, my brother. This was amended in 2012. It was debated. 2014. It was amended. What they took out of it was the word insult. So all of the comedians, there were people in, civil society. They had spoken out. They had said, in fact, it was the National Secular Society, the Christian Institute of, and Big Brother Watch and stuff like that, organizations of that caliber, who said, look, we want this word out because people should have the right to insult. Now, Ivan, I'm just going to mute you for 1 second, bro. I'm getting too much a background sound. I don't know why. Just 1 sec. Yeah, there. Thank you. And what these the idea of that we need to remove the insult, the idea of insulting people from that particular Section 5 of the 1986 Public Order Act is very significant, because some of the comedians even came across and they said this to go, because this exists in that act, this becomes an offense. They can be taken to court by someone who takes offense. So what they've done is it made it easy. They've taken it out. By taking it out, even though you and I and Ivan and anyone else may have the right to feel insulted, but you can't really do anything with that legally. And that's the thing. So that's a whole area of discussion and conversation. And anyway, coming back to our engagement on this particular subject matter, and you've touched on something very significant, right? For me, the reaction towards that also needs to be balanced. What are your views on that? Okay, this has happened as a person who's in this world, who's in a particular area of discussion, conversation, and influence to a certain extent. My brother, you are free to express as you want. Tell me what should be the response to that, please.
I think you got to look at how did the Prophet react to insult? How did the Prophet react to injury? How did the Prophet react to people insulting him to his face, physically harming him? And I think there's something to be learned from that.
Yeah.
And I think part of the failing is we don't have obvious spokespeople. We don't have obvious spokespeople that we can turn to in these times that can take these causes up for us. So I think that's a failing on part of, it's a collective responsibility, and it's also the responsibility it's also the responsibility of like certain people in those positions. We don't have a unified voice that can, or even a unified 2 or 3 groups of people that can work together to take up these causes for us and lobby for us. We just don't have it. So what instead you have is parents turning up in front of a gate, and it feeds into this narrative for the papers and stuff, which, those scenes they weren't nice scenes, bro. So, but I understand where it came from. I understand the passion and stuff. But when you strip those scenes down and you show it to Joe Bloggs in Essex, who doesn't understand the wider context, it's not a pretty scene, bro. So I think, it's a difficult one, bro, because I understand the feelings of those parents. So it's a tricky one, bro. But I think it's about learning from the Prophet's example of how he dealt with these things, but also being able to lobby government and being able to lobby local councils and be able to lobby people in charge and explain to them why this is such a grievous concern to us. Because, we have laws to protect hate speech. We have laws to protect people from racism, Islamophobia, well, maybe not so much Islamophobia, but anti-Semitism, from homophobia, from sexism now as well, and all those things. And those are all right, correct. But ultimately, it should be for us to decide what is the grievous injury and insult to us, not for other people to dictate that to us. In the same way that Jewish people have been able to tell us that actually insulting the Holocaust is a crime. And that's fine. I accept that. I support that. In that same way, we should be able to express from ourselves that actually insulting the Prophet to us, that's a heinous, grievous injury. We cannot tolerate that. We cannot be silent about that. So in the same way that you accept it from other groups of people, when they're allowed to define what insults them, please allow us to do the same as well. Because a thing that insults someone is not going to insult me. So of course, people who are not Muslim are not going to get insulted by a drawing or a caricature of the Prophet. Why would they be? It's not the person who they look up to.
Yeah, they have no sentiment for that. They have no feeling for that. Yeah.
So I get that to an extent, but for us, it's different. So for us, he's our everything. So for us, that's a big grievous harm, an insult. So allow us to be protected from that in the same way that you allow other groups of people to be protected by things that they can define themselves.
Cool. Ivan, what would you say regarding what Tez is mentioning here? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I get exactly what you're saying, but I guess as a white person looking in at it, not from my opinion exactly, but from what I'm seeing as well, there's a lot of anger and a lot of suspicion around it because of what happened in France with that school teacher. I just think there's an added fix because up at a school, disrupting the school day for the other pupils as well wasn't the best way to go about displaying your anger at it. Because I read rightly today, the school remote learning today. So it's disrupted the other pupils in that school as well. I think it could have been dealt with a lot better, and then the media wouldn't have been able to jump on it so quick.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
The other.
Yeah, go for it.
The other groups now jumping on it for their own agenda.
And I sympathize with that, bro. I saw the scenes and I wasn't pleased with them. Because I also think that actually handling things, there's something to be said about handling things locally. Yes. And obviously that's not always possible. I understand that. But 99.9% of the time, can we please make it a habit of handling things locally and not making it into a bigger conversation? Because that is what causes problems. For example, the thing that this originally came from recently in modern times was those Danish caricatures from that newspaper in Denmark. Now, the only reason that the whole world knew about that, because that was handled locally. It was handled locally. And then someone took it upon themselves to take these caricatures around the Arab world to different local and religious leaders in the Arab world and almost demand a protest, a speaking out of it. If that hadn't happened, bro, 99% of us would never have known that those cartoons existed. Because as much as it angered a certain section of the population of the world, it inspired another section of the population of the world. It was the same reason that I think we should never have given the EDL the oxygen that they had in the mid-noughties to late noughties, because it was that oxygen. And even when you're condemning something, in that condemnation, you're still giving them oxygen. You're still giving them the air of publicity. So every time I'm condemning something, even if 90% of people are agreeing with me, there'll be 10% of people who might agree with the sentiment of the EDL who are making aware of the EDL. So even with these cartoons, bro, we have a habit, bro, of Muslims of just almost like placing our faith in anger. Almost like the more angrier you are, the more you must believe and the more you must love.
Yeah.
But
the more loyal you are.
Yeah, but that's not our tradition, bro. Our tradition didn't teach to be anger. Our tradition taught us to be patient. Right. So why are we always constantly reacting so angrily? And I get the anger, but it's about. I'm not saying don't get angry. It's about controlling the anger, though. And I'm like, I have problems with that. I drive in this country. I have a problem with anger myself. So, I understand where it comes from. But the fact is that in our tradition, controlling your anger is a massive thing. But then it's a failing of not having those institutions and not having coordinated organizations that are able to lobby and speak on our behalf to do these things. So that leaves it then to the grassroots to like constantly rise up on stuff. And the papers love that, bro. They love it because for them now they've suddenly got another story of angry Muslim parents at gates. And bro, it doesn't help. It does not help. It's counterproductive.
It is counterproductive. And let me hold you on that, Tez. Look, see, you're making a lot of sense how it should happen. But when the majority of the Muslims at this moment in time in different societies and communities around the world feel that they are under someone's foot, they are being battered, they are not being listened to, they're screaming and they're shouting, their leaders are not there for them, The leader's supposed to, represent them, but they're not doing it. So what happens? The small man, what he or she, small man or woman, what they're going to do is scream.
And that's why, and that's why I'm saying I understand it. And that's why I understand it, because there's a failing of leadership, there's a failing of representation, there's a failing of having our own institutions that are able to do that on our behalf sensibly and maturely, because it doesn't exist, bro.
Let me share something with you, which was really interesting for me. I came across there was a not conviction per se, but this individual had taken made some very slanderous, comments against the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his relationship with Sayyidah Aisha, right? And may Allah be pleased with her. Now, this lady is in Austria, Austrian lady in Austria. This is a 2018. Sorry, forgive me. A 2018 case that took place. Okay, so what happens is that in Austria, they went to court. They said, look, she has said something which has been very blasphemous, false, wrong. It has hurt 800,000 Muslims in a population of 8 million. I think that's how many people live in Austria at that particular time, in that particular region. So what they done was, they said to her that you have to pay a fine of $450 and the cost of the whole, the proceedings. So she did that. But then she wasn't satisfied, so she took it to the European Court of Human Rights. So when it went to the European Court of Human Rights, under the Act 10, I think it was, right, of human rights, she made a comment. She goes, I have freedom of speech and freedom of expression. I can say whatever I want, right? Check this out. The European Union, all right, the Court of European Human Rights, they said, that's right, you do have right. And under our law, within our law, you do have that right. But at the same time, you impacted the peace of these people in that country. You instabilized it. That within the law is also highly important and essential, right? So what the Austrian courts had said was correct. So you, in other words, take your conviction and get out of here.
Disturbance of the peace.
That's right, disturbance of the peace. So what I'm going to say something here. Tez, no doubt there is a particular way of reaction and engagement or whatever that is. We scream, we shout. But sometimes we have to channel our anger and frustration down a path of understanding the system as well. And that's important. If one doesn't understand this, I'll give this example because it's a live example. It happened recently, right? It happened recently.
It's happening this week.
Sorry, no, this is in 2018.
Oh, sorry, the Austrian one.
Yeah, the Austrian one.
Okay,
the Austrian one. Yeah. On the back, and that's what's important. That's something to learn from a case and etc. that has taken place, and on the back of that, other people should do the same. In my humble opinion, all right, that's what should happen. And the frustration is there, the anger is there, and let me throw this at you. And I think a man like yourself, you're very blunt and very clear about a lot of your position about a lot of things, and I honor this because you have chosen to touch on this particular aspect and element of what's happening today, right? So on one side, of course, there's anger, there's frustration, etc. No doubt there has to be much more sensible way of engagement. But at the moment, there's people who are throwing fuel on the fire. How do you think, as us, people who work in this area, all right, of keeping the fires out, trying to keep tempers down, what would you say we should do from that perspective? Do you feel
it's a tricky one, bro? It's a tricky one because you know what, bro? People like fires.
Oh, they do.
People enjoy shouting. People enjoy screaming. People enjoy insulting each other. People enjoy it, bro. People get off on it, bro. People make it a sport. It's fun. I can imagine going on those EDL marches. I imagine it was fun. That sort of camaraderie, that camaraderie, people all thinking the same as you do, having a pint or whatever it was that you guys or three, whatever you guys were doing. I imagine it's fun. So when you find people and they feel anger at the same thing you do, I can imagine it's a lot of fun. So to dispel that, you're the boring guy, Irfan. You're the boring guy. You're the party pooper coming in, going, "Hey, now come on, everyone, come on, pop the balloon, come on, everyone, can we please?" You're the guy. You're the neighbor coming down, telling him to turn the music down. So your job is hard, bro. Your job is hard. It's. I wouldn't want to do it, bro. It's difficult. It's necessary. It's absolutely necessary because we should live in we should have a more nuanced discourse. We should
Yes.
have a discourse where we listen to both sides of the story, that we be able to find compromises, that we're able to find solutions. But bro, that's not what is fun. That's not what people want to do. People want to shout and scream because that is more fun. That's putting the music up louder when someone's telling you to turn it down because actually I like this song.
Yes.
And you across the road, you like that song, but I'm going to drown your song out with my song because I like my song more. Who the hell are you to tell me to turn the music down? Shut up, bruv. Why don't you just come in and join the party? It's hard, bro.
It is hard. It is hard. But Ivan, you are that person who's listening to your song, and you that person who's in your own house and saying stuff and things about people like myself, all right? But you did something which a lot of people don't do. Like Tez said, it's boring and sometimes it's dangerous because you're moving away from your pack. But you did it. What the hell got into you, bro?
Yeah, that was hard. That was definitely hard, leaving the pack, so to speak. I mean, because I lost that sense of belonging and everything. And I was back to square one in a way. Do you know what I mean? So it was a bit scary because I didn't realise that once I turned my back on that, I'd go from the hater to the hated overnight. Do you know what I mean? The threats, the death threat. I've probably been called most of the things you guys have as well. Muslim, convert, Muslim lover, supporting terrorism. I'm a terrorist. I've had it all, bruv. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's hard, but I think if you truly believe that you can make a difference or you want to see a difference, you have to walk that path yourself. You have to prove it can be done. And that's kind of where I'm a bit stubborn. And that's why I do what I do, I think. I won't have nobody tell me that I can't do it. And I won't be silenced either. I will say my opinion, whether I like it or not, because sometimes that needs to be.
And definitely, and I think someone like you, my man, has breached that, that boundary of no-go area. And Tez, you know what it is? It's not only Ivan. We've had the honor to meet some amazing people from America, from other parts of the world, who have made this journey from hate, from bigotry, from Islamism, or whatever you want to call it, whatever type of hate it is, and they've been gutsy enough to take that step. And I think that's really powerful. And I think as common people, we need to learn from that. I think it's a massive area to be learned. I want to bring it back to you, and I want to bring it back to your speciality, right, of how you hold yourself in the public arena, all right, as a comedian. Because for me, Tez, Tahir, there साहब ठीक हो चंगे हो there साहब माशाल्लाह right, that for me, artists are really powerful. Artists speak what people think, what people are reflecting. May that be a singer, may that be a songwriter, may that be a rap artist, may that be a comedian, whatever you are, whatever type of artist, you're even a painter, for example. All right, they have this amazing ability to express what I can't express. I feel it inside, but I can't express it. So someone like you, when you were on, the Tez O'Clock show, or when you were on the Tez Talk, when you were on, telling the world on the whole thing about on even your the fast and the fool. You remember that? You do, but the fast and the fool is so cool. The way you portray that aspect to the how people observe you and see you, and I think a lot of people related to that. So someone like yourself as an artist, for me, you are a person who can say and get away with a lot. And that is a great service to us as the common man, common woman, I think, which is really powerful. How do you feel about that? If someone like me, a nobody, who's a chiller doing his own thing, lad from the street, sees you, man, he's speaking what I'm feeling, bro. How does that feel?
It was a bit humbling, bro. If I'm honest, I don't know if I don't know if I set out to do that. I just set out to try and make people laugh. And the comedy that I write in a certain way. In it, I write about things that I care about because that's what I can make funny.
Yeah.
My observations on myself and my community and my country and the news and stuff. That's what I can make funny personally. So I just try to make people laugh and stuff. And so if they can take bigger meaning from that and take more from that and understand some of the subtext that I'm writing, then alhamdulillah, bro, that's great. But the flip side of the coin is, there'll be people who hate what I do, and you got to try and drown those people out and try and stay positive and only worry about the people who enjoy your work.
For me, I watch a lot of comedy. I'm gonna be blunt with you, bro. I am an ardent. I know usually say when there's a showbiz person, it's not always nice to see another person's name, right? Because it is we're honoring you at this moment in time. But Dave Chappelle.
Say
it again, bro.
But you then you mentioned Gus and
yeah, exactly. So, but I'm speaking about Dave Chappelle because recently, of course, as you know, Dave Chappelle even highlighted certain things in his own business, and he goes the injustice that he would see, right? How people would his opposition, people trying to shut him down, and he is right on the top of the pile when it comes down to your area of work, in a lot of ways. And I think he resonates with people like yourself hugely, I think, and by him speaking up, I think it's given a lot of confidence to a lot of people in your area, in your profession, I think. All right.
Yeah, bro. He's amazing, Dave Chappelle. Like, he's a brother as well, and in two ways. And he's an inspiration, bro. He's a leader, bro. He's we all look up. A lot of us look up to him. As someone who is on our side, is on the side of the comedians and stuff, because it's a difficult balance to walk being a comedian, because of course all comedians, they don't really want to cause insult to injury. That's not what we set out to do. Even your shock comics, the ones that you think, why they constantly insulting people, that's not really what, it's just they got a dark sense of humor. That's just how their sense of humor works. They don't set out to hurt people. So walking that balance, bro, is hard. So when you got people who kind of speak up for you in that, it's pretty cool.
And it is cool. And I think you do that. You do that. Ghulam Sahab do that. Ghulam Sahab. Big
Ghulam Bhai.
Yeah. Mashallah. He does that. And people in like I said, I watch a lot of like Whose Line Is It Anyway? Right? People on there. Yeah, Mock the Week. You've been on there a number of times. Wicked. All right. Not the 9 o'clock show. All right. And of course, for me, was Jon Stewart. Was massive for me. Someone I would watch. Daily Show, of course, is done by Trevor Noah. Now, if you realize all of these are satirical, they talk about politics, they talk about reality of situations, circumstances. And in observing what I've observed and watch what I've watched, I want to say this to you, and I want to say it live. You have the most amazing way to highlight the double standard of the government with a killer punchline. You do. And I like that. You're keeping it real, bro. And stay real. That's what we respect as common people, normal people. What Dave did, what others have done in their profession to be honorable in the artistic expression, I think that's what's honored. That's what's respected. You know what I'm saying? And you've done that. You've done that perfectly. You know what I'm saying? And that's been really, really, really good. And I think it gives us that voice and that strength as well to stand up and speak out loud. Tez, I want to come to something that you've been doing within your lockdown time. Right? I have are you okay for time? Yeah, you're chilling, yeah?
Yeah, bro, I'm chilling, bro.
Okay, good. Job on anything?
I'm your guest.
More job.
I've got Khana Shana later, so I'll be all right.
Here is Barfi here.
Yeah, you're gonna email that to me, aren't you?
I am gonna, bro. Inshallah. ta'ala. And I'm gonna send that to you. It's gonna be a slap. It's gonna be slapped down like this, and it come through the letterbox, bro. Inshallah. ta'ala. All right, no
Inshallah.
worries. Inshallah. No, I want to come to you because in the lockdown period, you've done a lot of stuff, and it's been really cool watching that as well, my man. You know, the legacies that you've done, which I thought was brilliant. You know, getting people that we love. All right, Sindhuvi, Guz. You've had Nadia Hussein there. You've had a number of people.
Nabil as well.
Nabil Saab, Sheikh Saab. You know, and Nabil was awesome, bro. Do you know
He's
what I
great,
mean?
bro.
What
He's
he
great.
did in, you know, Britain's Got Talent, he killed it, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Bro. He
He's the
killed
man.
it,
He's
bro.
the man.
We're very proud of him.
We are truly big, man. Big bro, man. I love you, Baraka, bro. Now, look, watching that and what you did regarding, you know, the 80s and 90s cartoons, bro, you frightened me, man. Look, I am Simpsons, what do you call it now, South Park type of person, and you do this a lot. You go, what was it? Respect my Torah. I say that, but not in places where you do it. When you do it, it's like, yeah, man, you hit it, bro, and I love that. You know what I'm saying? I just really love that. So I think what you've done is kept us entertained in a very difficult time, bro.
I've tried, bro. I've tried.
But how has it been for you, man? You know what I'm saying?
Bro, it's been hard, man, because as you know, my day job, my bread and butter is stand-up comedy in the comedy clubs up and down the country. Obviously, a year ago, almost to the day, that shut down, innit? That was gone. Khalas, khatam, stay home. So that was majority of my job. Also, all TV production, all radio production, it all shut down. Obviously, then it opened back up over the summer, but all of that stuff shut down, bro. So I was at home, bro, for the first time. Obviously, I'm at home, but like I was having to stay at home constantly for weeks, months at a time for the first time since probably I was at college, bro. So it was difficult, bro. Like, but it was then alhamdulillah, there was some blessings in that because I got to do Ramadan at home, completely at home, and not have to worry about traveling to a show. Because, bro, I've had to break my fast on stage before.
Wow.
So to be able to just have a stress-free, anxiety-free Ramadan, just chilling at home was just, alhamdulillah, it was amazing, man. I loved it. And that first lockdown, I really enjoyed, bro, because it was nice. Also because I didn't feel left out, because everyone was standing still. You kind of feel, okay, everyone's doing this. I don't feel so bad. It's kind of like you all unite, the whole country was united. But then, yeah, the winter ones, this one's been hard, bro. This one, I felt this one. It's been tough.
It has been. It has been.
Tough.
There's been a question that's just come up. How does Tez keep his jokes funny and relevant?
I keep on top of popular culture.
Cool.
Because I'm an interest in movies and TV and stuff. That's my hobby. I also have an interest in politics and foreign affairs, so I keep abreast of news and all that sort of stuff.
You know, let me tell you, I really loved about you. You are the Guardian, Times, Daily Mail Sun guy.
They all said nice things about me.
They love you. But the thing about you is that your politics, the way you read it, and it's really cool that, you know.
Yeah, I try and make myself as accessible as possible because obviously I believe what I believe and I'll say what I say. But in terms of presentation, in terms of the way I deliver what I say, I try and do it in a way that doesn't alienate people who might not believe what I think.
Right.
Because actually, what's the point, bro? If I come out and I just come out and be like, racism is wrong, and like 100 people start clapping, that's not entertaining, bro. It's not entertaining. You might agree with it, and I'll be like, shabash, yes, I agree with that. But it's not entertaining. So to be able to say something in an entertaining way that actually people who might disagree with it are still going to laugh along with it, because laughter brings people together, bro.
It does.
And so if they look at what I'm doing, and they might have a picture of Muslims in their head, and then they might see me perform, and that might be saying things that they disagree with. But because I'm able to do it in an accessible way, I might be able to bring them into the conversation a little bit, and they're not going to have a conversation with me. But next time they think something negative, or sometimes they come across a negative story, it might just, I'm not saying it does, but hopefully it might just make them think twice.
And it does. Like I think that's really, really cool. And you said it, because if you make someone laugh, it'll make them think again.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Because,
Ivan,
bro,
I think
that is the one
broken.
that is the one unifying thing. I don't care what race you are, what religion you are, in this country, in Britain, the one unifying thing is our sense of humor.
it is.
Because
It is. And
even British people, British brown people, British black people, British white people, and everything in between, we have there's a unique British sense of humor that we all share. Yeah, we've also Pakistanis have their own thing, Indians have their own thing, black people have their own thing, white people have their own thing as well. But there is a big crossover in what we all laugh at and what we find funny.
we do. So, look, sarcasm, of course, we talk about satire. Satire is a key part of our humor, British humor. Sarcasm, insult, self-deprecation, taboo subject, puns, innuendo, wit. And when I say wit, man, you got it, loads of it, will bucket load you out. You know what I'm saying? So that is our humor. And Ivan, go for it. Jump in, bro.
And I think that's what it is. What you said there, the way you do it, it breaks a barrier within people. And then once that barrier is down, it does make people think, or gives them something else to think of. And while we're talking about this, I think that's what I liked about Man Like Mo Bean, the 4 series or 3. I think it tackled something every week, and there's always a message at the end of it. So as you can imagine, I'm going to ask you, I was devastated when you got shot. Can you explain more about that? What's happened? Do you know what I mean?
The spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it. My character 8, the wickedest character in the whole thing. He was shot at the end of Man Like Mo Bean.
Shout out to the whole crew.
Shout out to everyone in it. Gus Khan, Dua, Tolu as well. Shout out to Mark Silcox, aka Uncle Shady. Shout out to Harper as well. He's in Line of Duty this series. Big up man like Officer Harper and that. So shout out to everyone in it. But yeah, so one of the things that we spoke about with Guz and what Guz explained to a lot of people as well is, you know, Guz's character Mobeen, the Mobeen character, obviously he'd left a life of crime behind, and he was then being slowly pulled back into it, reluctantly, but it was happening. And what often happens to people who involve themselves in this way of life is they might get lucky and they might not get hurt because they're street smart, they're hard, they can handle themselves.
Yeah.
But what will happen is your loved ones, the people around you who are maybe not as street smart as you, not as hard as you, not as whatever as you, they're the ones who end up getting hurt. And so that's what that show showed so powerfully, is that 8, you know, the most innocent, Piara, lovely guy, lovable guy in the whole series, he got hurt because of his proximity to the guy who was slowly getting pulled back into that life. And that is real life. Just last summer, a girl, you remember the story. Last summer, a girl got shot in Blackburn. She was walking from her house to Lidl to do a little bit of shopping for her family. She was an asylum seeker, bro. She was a refugee sister from the Middle East, and she was walking from her house to Lidl, bro. It's a 5-minute walk, and just on the way, someone was coming to shoot up a shop or do some warning shots at a garage that they had beef with, and she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and she got shot and died. She hasn't done anything, bro. She didn't do anything. She didn't deserve that, but it was her time. And sometimes these things are sometimes inexplicable, unexplainable. You can't make sense of them. It's just, Ya Rabbin is Allah di Marzi, is you can't make sense of it, as try as you might. We had a family tragedy, bro. You know, very, very close family friend got murdered in Blackburn in 1995, November 1995. A brother called Shazad Iqbal, who was a few years older than me. He'd be in his mid-40s now. May Allah grant him Jannat. And he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, bro. But, you know, we don't, you know, it's not like, you know, he got murdered trying to break up a fight. He drove past the fight with his friends in the car. They recognized one of the people who was in trouble. They stopped the car to get out, to intervene and to break up the fight. And someone turned around and stabbed him, bro. Doesn't make any sense. Because he was a good kid. He played cricket, bro. He was like, you know, he was He was one of these like amateur cricketers that you think this kid could make it pro. You know, he was at that level. So he wasn't in that sort of life. Yeah, you know, he probably had some mates at college and he had a bit of a laugh and stuff, but he wasn't involved in that life at all. But he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, bro. So we wanted to show in the show that, and obviously in Birmingham and the Midlands and London and places like that, these things are even more stark, they're even more real, they're even more problematic. And so we want to show that actually, if you get caught up in this life and you think it's cool in that, fine. You might think like that, and actually you might be having a really great time and you might be getting away with all sorts. But don't forget, it's the people around you that might end up getting hurt.
And
you won't be there to protect them 24/7.
You won't, and that's very powerful, because I think, you know, you touched on a very, very crucial point here of discussion and conversation, which is a whole area of discussion around gangs, gang life, gang culture, gang behavior. And with man like Mobeen, it does that perfectly. It gives us that. And one of the things is that, you know, as Pakistanis, we have this thing in it. Asian, we have this thing in it. Put everything underneath the carpet. Mara putter, ye ji kam te nahi karna ji, kya bani ho? My son doesn't do stuff like this. And what it highlights within the series is that, no, 1 minute, everyone's up to something. And sadly, sometimes it's not their fault. They don't want to. Like Mobeen, he falls into that situation and then he gets dragged back in again. Do you know what I mean? Under the circumstances. And that's very, very real. And of course, now we have this whole thing about you know, knife crime, which is huge at this moment in time. You know, every day is just rampant, my brother. We talk about, you know, having you know, COVID-19 as a pandemic. This is worse, bro, in a lot of ways, if you think about it. People's lives are going.
I think the whole gang culture and problem with gang crime is probably is I think a much bigger problem than extremism and stuff like that. Like, it's just because day to day, A, more people are involved in it, and B, it impacts on us more day to day than extremism does.
It really does. I want to, and talking about it, discussing about that, I want to bring in something that you've done, your literary ability, your writing ability, my brother, or typing ability. I want to bring that into this particular discussion and conversation, because you have been working very hard for the last 12 months, solid, my bro. And I think you've done an awesome job. I'm going to bring this up. Wow. The Secret Diary of a British Muslim. My man, Tez Ilyas. Hit me, bro. What inspired you to do this?
How cute was I, though?
You were really cute, man. I loved it. As a teenager as well, bro. With all the spots and everything.
No, I've got good skin. I've always had good skin. I've been blessed. Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
You must have African in you.
Don't put another in me. I mean, I'm sure we all do.
We're all Africans.
We're all Africans, bro. MashaAllah. Bro, like, yeah, we had the idea to write the book about my life and stuff, and I started working on it. And, you know, it's about my teenage years growing up in Blackburn. And I was so pleased that we were able to do it, bro. And yeah, it's going to be released on my birthday on the 8th of April. So that's 13 days time. Allahu indeed. Yeah. So it's available. It's available to pre-order now. And yeah, it's amazing, bro. There's so many fun stories in there. There's difficult stories in there that I bring up about the difficulties I went through. It's about real life, bro. It's about the fun times I had with my cousins at school, after school mosque classes, the fun times I had with my siblings, and then also the more troubling times you had. You know, I had a difficult home life. You know, there were times when you got bullied outside of school. There were times there was racism outside of home and stuff. So it touches on all of those things, and I hope I've done it in a funny and moving way that hopefully people will appreciate and will want to read.
Let me share with you. As a reader, as someone who observed here, I can hear your voice. I can't wait for the audio version of the book.
Yeah, because we're in the audio, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm reading it and I hear your voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you use all of the Urdus and the Punjabis and the Arabic and, you know, Ammiji and Abuji, and, you know, you mention your sister in an abbreviated way, and you mention your, you know, family. It's amazing. I love it. And I think for me as a, you know, EDL,
yeah,
English Desi lad, yeah. As an English Desi lad, I could relate to a lot of what you have written. I haven't had the honor to read the whole thing, and I am going through it slowly but surely. Hopefully, I'll get through all of it as well with you. But it seems like it's my journey as well. I'm an 80s kid as well. Do you know what I mean? So I've been exposed to a lot of stuff that you've been exposed to. But the amazing thing is, in a lot of ways, I know Ivan and I spoke about this as well. In a lot of ways, that relates to Ivan's life as well. Ivan, share that with him.
Mm.
The working class.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Yeah, it's like we said earlier, or what Tez said earlier about the working class. I said for a little while now that the same thing you have, Tez. We always forget about the whole. Whenever we talk about something, we always talk about part of something. We never talk about include everything. And I think, do you know what I mean? I just think the way you talk, and I've only read a little of the book, as you know. I'm honest, I haven't read it, but a lot of that I can resonate as well growing up. Do you know what I mean? Because I think as kids, we don't see colour, we don't see the difference. We're just kids, simply. Do you know what I mean? I think the kids nowadays aren't as lucky as we were when we were kids, to a point. Now they've been told to see colour more. I think that's why I think, yeah, if that makes sense to you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually more when I think about my life and experience at university, I went to Lancaster, which is a very middle class white university, and even more so when I went. I had an amazing time. And I think part of that is because I wasn't that woke. I was more ignorant to life and circumstances and culture and class and all those conversations that we have now. I was ignorant to all that. So I just took everyone at face value. I didn't worry about, oh, this Jordan's middle class, or Eddie's this, that guy's a southerner, this guy's that, or whatever. I didn't worry about any of that because these were all just my friends. I didn't worry about, oh, that guy must have gone to private school. That's why he's more privileged than I am, whatever. That word wasn't even in our it was, I mean, we knew the word, but in the context of that, it wasn't even in our discourse, bro. It wasn't in our lexicon. So in that way, ignorance being bliss, I'm glad that I went to university at the time that I did.
And thank you. And I think, but at the same time, there's something that we started with, that a lot of our youngsters need to have understanding of the history. There's that aspect as well. So I don't disagree with what you just said there. Maybe at a younger age, you know, not seeing color, not seeing the differences, all right, is a good thing. But at the same time, to know the larger picture is also important. So it has to be, for me, it's hand in hand.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance. There's definitely a balance to strike. I'm just saying, like, for me, I don't think I would have had as fun a time if I was more conscious of all of these things that I became conscious of years later.
Yeah.
Or maybe I would have had a fun time, but it would have been a different. It would have been a different time, and maybe that would have been more fun. I don't know, but it wouldn't have been the same.
No, it wouldn't have been. And I think the generation before us, we were going to be honored with Riaz Khan. It was a gentleman who was who lived a life as a hooligan in Leicester. I
know Riaz.
Yeah. You know, we were gonna have him, but do dua for him, mashallah. Allah give him shifa, inshallah. He became ill. Allah make easy him, inshallah ta'ala. And we'll be honored to have him again. And our intention was
he bottled out Tez.
no. We're gonna drag him back out. Because the thing is, there's a point that you made around when you talk about how to write a book, and something that you say as well. I wanted to write a book, all right, which would kids who are today can look back at, all right, in the 80s and 90s, how people lived, and in a way, the same thing what Riaz has done as well. He's wrote a book which talks about his time in the 70s, right, which is really, really powerful. So our intention was to have him first, and then we would have you, and we could say, yeah, you know, look at this. We have people who are from these cultures, this religion, this background, etc., who've had different experiences, right, which are real experiences of real people. And I think that's really, really powerful. And I already mentioned it to a certain extent, but why did you want to write? Because you've done an awesome job, and you're doing an awesome job in the genre that you're already in. Why write?
Bro, there's an easy answer, which was I had nothing else to do.
That's a good answer, but give me something else, bro.
Yeah, so you know, we're in a pandemic. I had time in my hands, so that gave me the privilege of being able to sit down and have some time to actually write something. Also, bro, yeah, for those reasons there, like, you know, there were things in my life that I went through that I think are worth sharing, and a book is the best way to do it in. Because, you know, people don't really know me. People don't know what I've been through in my life and the difficulties that I've had. And people who don't know me might have a certain picture in their head of my background and how I grew up and stuff. And some of it might be right, but I think I imagine a lot of it probably isn't. And so this allows people to get a real sense of what it was like for me growing up, as well as a broader sense of what it was like. Obviously, every story is different, but a broader sense of what it was like to be British Asian, British Muslim, Pakistani, Northern, working class in that period of history from 1997 to the end of 2001.
And what you've done, which I think is really cool, is that as footers, that's what you do. In every single footer, you explain what's happening around you. Okay, right. It's your diary. It's about your life. It's about your experiences. But here and there, you throw stuff in there. You talk about, the demographics of Blackburn, for example. All right, and you break. I think that was brilliant. That brings the larger narrative into that particular book of your life, which I think is brilliant. I thought
Thank you, bro.
Brilliant. You know what I mean? Big up on you on that as well. We've taken a lot of your time. My man, मेरा दिल है कि मैं थे तो अरे ना गल करता रहा.
Inshallah, bro, when the real world opens, we'll go out there,
we'll
get some food, we'll grab a shisha, and we'll talk some
I'm
more.
not a shisha guy, even though I lived in the Arab world. Let me share something with you. I lived in the Arab world, and my friend used to say, I was there for 5 years, bro. I studied there. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm still not Al-Azhar and all that stuff anyway. And when I was there, people were like, bro, take the shisha, man. I'm like, nah, man, I don't. I'm the party people, like you said. I'm that guy. I'm sorry, mate.
Yeah.
I will happily sit there and have a kahwa with you without any hesitation. And I know Ivan, big man G, Ivan will also come down and we'll have a bit of a laugh with you as well.
Tez, I'm okay. I'll do anything. Give me that seashell. I'm on it.
It's mad, bro. You know, like my grandma growing up, and I wrote this in the book. My grandma used to smoke hookah growing up.
Good.
Yeah, that one. But she was the only person in my family, from the men and the women. She was the only person who smoked hookah. And I look back now, and obviously she's left us now, so I can't really ask her about it. But I just like, it's mad. I'm like, why did you smoke hookah and no one else? There were a few other people that did, like, around, like, in the community, but in terms of our family, including the men, including the women, the older people, younger generation, whatever, she was the only person who smoked hookah. And I found it growing up now, like, looking back, because when you're young, you just accept things in it because you see it and you accept it. But looking back now, you think, how come Granny smoked hookah? That was just mad. Just in the house, just and there was some nasty stuff, bro.
No, they put cardboard in it.
Yeah.
Then they put tobacco in it. Right?
Tobacco.
Tamaku. That's it. Tamaku, correct pronunciation, bro. No problem. Tamaku. Put that in there, pakaoski. And then what you do, just like weed, let me share something with you. I've never ever done this in my life. You know, when they say you take a doobie and the next person and the next person. I don't smoke. Yeah. I don't do stuff like that anyway on a personal level, but you see that. That's exactly what they do. If you go to Puri, especially Sade Gujarat, people from Gujarat, and Pakistan Gujarat, khas, they will have a guy in the middle and they go, Banda bada changa si ji, good. Haan, bahut changa si banda, good. Which I thought was amazing. You know what I'm saying?
I need to go to them Puris. And I'll be like, good. Listen, I didn't really know the guy, yeah, but I heard he's a top lad. Good.
No, but this is real. Let me ask you this. I found out that you are from Pakistan.
Yeah.
But where in Pakistan are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
So just to be clear, obviously I was born in Blackburn, raised in Blackburn, but my family...
In other words, you were born in Pakistan.
Yeah, same thing. I was born in Queensbuck Hospital in Blackburn, but my family are from Jhelum. So I'm not Meerpuri, yeah?
Tough luck, I am.
I don't speak that Mickey Tukki Kusbaya language.
You know what, bro? You know Maritwari. My bro, listen to me, bro. Maritwari is sweet, is sadi. Asi sadi twadi nahi karde. Asi Maritwari karne hai.
Mickey, all I hear is Mickey Tukki. That's all I hear.
My man, it's been, I'm going to say this, bro. It's been an honor. We've been seeing you on screen. We've, been listening to what you say. For the last number of weeks, I've just been engrossed in you, bro. That's all I've been doing. It's like, man, Imran, you got to know this guy on a level that you can have a bit of a chat with the guy. And the thing is, you Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala give you strength, my brother,
Ameen.
To do more,
Ameen.
to keep on doing the amazing work that you're doing. Always keep in your mind, there are always people behind you who are doing dua. We are doing dua. You know, we all make our mistakes in life. We are humans, all right? We do that. Stay steadfast. Get up. Keep moving forward, my bro.
Inshallah.
Allah give you barakah, my bro.
Ameen.
I'm gonna leave. We're gonna leave the last word to you, but I'm gonna ask Ivan to say something, so it gives you a few minutes to reflect over your last message on me and you education, creating the conversation. Go for it, Ivan, my man.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Imran said. Thanks for coming on, Tez. Thanks for thanks for being so honest. I think that's what we need, is that honest conversation. And next time you're local, let me know. We'll meet up.
That sounds amazing, my brother.
With you, bro.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor for me as well to be in this conversation. Thank you very much for allowing me the space to say things. And thank you for everyone who's watching. Appreciate the audience. Thank you so much for the lovely comments as well. Obviously, me and you wouldn't work without these two wonderful gentlemen and people like them going around the country having different conversations, because conversation is what keeps things moving forward. It's what helps us understand each other. And you know what helps us see each other? Having two eyes. And what better two eyes than Imran and Ivan? What a bar, eh? What a bar.
I love that, bro.
They're the two eyes of the organization looking out and keeping the conversation moving forward. You can have that one, bro. You can put that on your little t-shirts and that. But alhamdulillah, thank you so much for having me. My book, The Secret Diary of a British Muslim, aged 13 3/4, is out on the 8th of April, which is my birthday. I'd love it if you guys were to order it. You can go on my socials or tezilyas.com/hello, and all the links are there. Yeah, I'd love it if you buy it, read it, share it, send me your pictures of you with it, with the book and stuff. And I think a lot of people will get a lot out of it. And it's for anyone. It's for whether you're white, Asian, Muslim, non-Muslim, you know, woman, man, anything. Like, I really would love it if you read the book and let me know what you think of it.
And Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala give you strength, my brother.
Ameen. And may Allah give you...
Go for it.
I was going to say, may Allah give you the strength to continue the good work that you do with Ivan, our brother, as well. And may you continue to uplift people from the scourge of extremism, from the scourge of narrow-mindedness, and from the scourge of those who would seek to divide us.
Ameen.
May Allah keep you steadfast.
You too, my brother. Allah give you strength, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah keep your family protected, inshallah, from any harm.
Ameen.
Brother, don't go anywhere. Just stay there, yeah? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Our listeners on Creating the Conversation podcast. Guys, it's a good one this week, wasn't it, my man? Wasn't it? Big up. See you next time, guys.
It was a cracker, mate. It was a
And you
cracker.
take it. It was a big cracker.